What's up, guys? It's Bolt, and I'm back with another Khazan video. And in this video, we're going to go over my ultimate guide on how to play the Greatsword. Now, I've seen a lot of players on the Reddit and the Discord saying that the Greatsword is not very good against this boss, the Greatsword is not very good against that boss, the Greatsword is weak early on, and I saw the player count and the percentage of Greatsword users, and it's been very low. I know the weapon may come off as very intimidating because you think it's slow, this and that, but I am here to dispel all of that and prove the naysayers wrong. I am here to show you guys just how to allocate your stats, what skills to prioritize, what gear to go for, which phantoms to use, all the tips and tricks you need to make you excel at using the Greatsword, and to show you just how insane the Greatsword is right out of the box, right in the beginning of the game. Now, I have over 300 hours on this game already, all with the Greatsword, so I feel that I have enough knowledge and experience to show you guys the most efficient way to play the Greatsword. Now, at the end of this video, I will link 2 videos. You'll find them in the description, you'll find them in the comment section, and I'll try to link them at the end. But the 2 videos are going to be me defeating every single boss without taking any damage on a new game character, starting from the beginning with the Greatsword all the way to the end, every single boss defeated with the Greatsword, with some build progression, just so you can get an idea on how to progress the build going on. And I will also link my S tier endgame DPS build for those who want to continue going into New Game Plus and New Game Plus 2. You will see the most optimal build to use to get the most damage in your game. But with that said, let's get right into it. Alright, so starting things off with the stat allocation. Firstly, let's go over what each stat does. Vitality is going to increase your health, your damage, your weight, and your resistances. Now, this is going to give you the biggest health increase compared to the other stats, but the other stats do provide you health as well. Endurance is going to give you health, stamina, and attack damage, but also stamina recovery, very important. This is the most important stat in the entire game. We'll go back into that. Strength is going to give you health, attack damage, weight, and receive stamina damage decrease. This is the stat that scales with Greatsword. All Greatswords do scale with strength, even though the scaling is very poor in this game. But the main benefit of the strength stat is it's going to increase your weight, which is going to be very important for us to have that agility stat at A. So what is agility? Agility is going to be essentially your weight class. At 8, you get maximum stamina benefits, you get better stamina recovery, you have better stamina costs. So I recommend playing at an A. B is a little rough. Anything lower than B, then I do not recommend. So at an A, this is the sweet spot. This is where you're going to be the most efficient when you're playing. And yeah, just the penalties for being at a lower weight category is just too high in my opinion, and it will affect your performance. Willpower and proficiency, these are both going to be the damage stats for the spear and the dual wield, respectively. They also increase health and attack damage, but willpower will give you stamina recovery and guard stamina damage decrease, and proficiency is going to give you a stamina damage decrease and a dodge stamina cost. So what are we going to prioritize when we are just starting out this game? So starting out right in the beginning, I just recommend getting your strength to around 15. 15 is going to be a nice sweet spot in the beginning of the game because you only have really access to lightweight sets like the Hound set, the Hunter set, the Guardian set, stuff like that, and a mix and match, the Bard set. Mix and matching those at 15 strength or using all full sets of each will put you in the A and agility category. Again, that's very important. That stamina benefit that you get for being in A is just too great. Next, the main stat that I want you guys to prioritize will be endurance. This is your damage stats. Forget strength being, you see the scaling and strength for Greatsword. Endurance is your main damage stat. Endurance is going to give you maximum stamina and stamina recovery, allow you to string together those really long combos. And being able to string together long combos is where your DPS is coming from, not from strength, not from the damage you're actually doing in a single hit, but the ability to string together multiple hits throughout a prolonged period of time. So what you're going to do now with endurance is you're going to get that up to the first soft cap, and you're going to get that to 60 points. Now, if you are struggling with this game, if you just can't grasp the combat, you have a boss like Viper or Maluka or somebody like that that's really just kicking your ass, and you're just really struggling to grasp the game, then you can take a few points in here and then pump it into Vitality. Although, even not leveling Vitality at all in your first playthrough is still very doable. It's not the end of the world, because each stat does provide health. And gear. Gear is very important, guys. Gear is going to provide you even more stamina and health. So you will have more than enough to be able to tank around 3 hits from bosses, usually even without leveling up vitality. But if you're just getting slapped around or you're getting hit like 20 times and you can't really just grasp the combat, then you could take some points off of endurance and strength and pump them into vitality and get it to around the soft cap of 30. I left it right here at 30 because that is the recommended number. I don't really recommend going above 30. That is way more than enough vitality in order for you to get through each new game, and New Game Plus and New Game Plus 2. So if you're like I said, only if you're really struggling, because this game is very generous with the health that it gives you in terms of the stats and from your gear, that even not leveling up vitality should be fine. Again, you will take away points from these 2 stats in order to get it to your desired amount. But you're going to want to get endurance to 60, and then once you reach endurance at 60, then you can start pumping up your strength again to 60 to get the soft cap there. You could also pump up strength a little bit more in favor of endurance. If you're wearing something heavier, such as the Chaos set, you want to get those. You want to get the 2-piece bonus of getting the Brink heals. So you want to use the Chaos set. So you may have to pump just a few extra points into strength just to get your agility back at A, because that is actually the most important thing to have to pair with your endurance, is because you want that stamina recovery. So once your agility is back at A, then you can favor endurance again, and you're going to want to get endurance as close to 99 as possible, and then right after that you could go right back to strength and get your strength as close to 99 as possible. Now, once these are maxed out, then you can start going to your proficiency. That is the second stat that the Greatsword does scale with, so you will get a few extra points in damage, but it also does some stamina damage, but stamina damage isn't as important as actual raw damage. So proficiency will be the next stat you will prioritize after your endurance and strength. So this will be around New Game Plus, and again, the vitality that you need to survive in the game that you feel comfortable with. At the very end of the game, you have no more points to put into. You're like, all right, what else am I going to do with these points? Then you can just throw them into willpower, because that's just going to give you a little bit extra stamina recovery and some guard stamina damage decrease. But that sums up the stat allocation, guys. Let's move on to the next topic. Alright, so on to gear. I see a lot of comments in Reddit, Discord. What's the best build in the beginning of the game? What is this? What is that? And the truth is, there are no builds in the beginning of the game. My recommendation is just to use the best of what you have in terms of swords. You're just going to use the highest level sword you have. But in terms of armor, you have very limited access to your armor. So, right out the gate, in the first level, you're going to have access to the Hound set. You can farm for this. And I recommend wearing this in the beginning of the game, just because right in the beginning, you're going to be fighting a lot of beasts. And this does provide you with a nice increase to damage to beasts. And on top of that, it's a lightweight. Also, in the beginning of the game, you're going to have access to the Hunter set, which is going to give you extra damage to Dragonkin. Now, if you guys don't know, Viper, who is the first wall for everybody, is Dragonkin. So they actually provide this set to you right before him. Farm this set and wear this. So levels that you are fighting beasts, you will be wearing the Hound set. Levels that you are fighting the Dragonkin, you will wear the Hunter set. You will have access then to the Bard set, which is also lightweight, and this is going to be your farming set. And this is what I recommend you guys wear when you're just clearing missions. Once you reach a boss, you can swap into your damaging armor set, but when you're just clearing missions, you do not need a lot of damage to mob. I recommend wearing the Bard set. This is going to give you a lot of Lacrima. It's going to give you some weapon drops. It's going to give you some high grade items drops, and this is going to help you get materials and just level up your gear, get better higher level swords so you can fight the bosses. So that's what I recommend going through for your missions. But during the actual early games for bosses, you're going to be using the Hound set and the Hunter set. Pay attention to what type of boss you are fighting. So Yatuga is a beast, you can wear the Hound set. Aratra is a beast, you can wear the Hound set. Dragonkin for Viper, so on and so forth. Then you have access to the Guardian set and the Fallen Lord set, which is up here. This is when you can start matching gear early on. So if you just wear 2 pieces of the Fallen Lord set, which is what you're going to want to do early game, you will have the charge attack damage bonus, which is really nice. Charge attacks are basically, that's all we do with the Greatsword, so 2 pieces of the Fallen Lord are really good. And then 2 pieces of the Guardian set, which is down here, is going to provide you with a 50 attack damage bonus. Not very high, but it is a little something. You can also mix and match some pieces of the Hound set to get the damage increase of 5%, or the stamina recovery, which is also very important, up 20%. Or if you're really good and you're not getting hit, the stamina recovery rate for being unscathed on the Bard set at 80% is actually astronomical and will benefit you greatly if you're good at not getting hit. And then also around end of early game, you will have access to the Chaos set, which is right here. Now, the full set is heavy, so you will be in the B category, which is where we don't want to be. But if you're okay at playing a B, you're really good at stamina management, so it doesn't hurt to do so. But the main thing about the Chaos set is more the utility that it provides. As you see, the 2-piece bonus set will give you the Brink Guard gain regeneration. So what it does per stack is it gives you a form of passive regen, which is really, really nice to have, especially early game when you're still struggling to learn the movesets of bosses and enemies and stuff like that. Every time you Brink Guard, you will get some heals, and it doesn't go off until you get hit. So it's really nice to have if you're just going through a level and you don't want to use up your netherworld energies. You can just Brink Guard a few enemies and just keep that little passive heal there. Really nice to have. If you go the Fury accumulation bonus after the 4 set is actually really nice as well, especially early on when you have limited Fury and Spirit. When you reach New Game Plus, it becomes Fury. But so yeah, Brink Guard Spirit accumulation, really good early on. So nice utility there as well. And at the max gear pieces, if you wear the entire armor set, you do learn the Volcanic Wrath. Now, Volcanic Wrath is a great skill in terms of DPS. It does quite a bit of damage, especially early game when you don't have access to many skills. However, it does consume a lot of your spirit. So I do not recommend this because your spirit is very valuable, especially early game when it's limited. So you want to save that for more important things like Phantom Knight's Veil, Inner Fury, Furious Swiper, Counterstrike. So I don't recommend using the full armor set to learn Volcanic Wrath. Now, if you want to play around with Volcanic Wrath on New Game Plus 2, where your spirit is astronomically high, then by all means do so. But I recommend just wearing a few pieces of the Chaos Ridden set if you want for the utility. Other than that, it's okay to wear mixed armor pieces, such as the Fallen Lord set with the Guardian set early on. Also, another early armor set that you could get is the Ashen Wolf set. Now, I do not care for this set. It's heavy, and this will put you at the B category early on. And again, I don't recommend it because the bonuses, in my opinion, are not worth it. Dodge stamina cost. We don't really dodge much using the Greatsword. The Greatsword is all about Brink Guarding and using stuff like Inner Fury in order to recharge stamina or get behind your opponents. So I don't recommend the Ashen Wolf set. It does, however, provide you with an extra Netherworld energy increase at 1. So if you're really struggling early game and you just need that extra heal, then by all means use the Ashen Wolf set early game. But I do recommend the Hound set and the Hunter set early game, depending on what you're fighting, over the Ashen Wolf set. Now, once you reach to the mid game, once you reach mid game, you're gonna have access to the Crimson Fiend set. This is usually like around after Element. The Element boss fight, you will have access to Crimson Fiend. Now, this is going to be the best armor set for DPS in the middle of the game until you reach around late game, where you can start min-maxing your armor sets, and that is going to provide the biggest damage increase. Now, the cool thing with Crimson Fiend, you will be wearing the full set. Once you have access to the Crimson Fiend and the Sentinel Sword, you will be wearing this mid-game. This is going to provide you with enraged damage increase. Now, enraged is going to be very good for us early game because you do consume a lot of stamina. So once you're at 50% stamina, you get the 50% damage bonus. 3-piece bonus is going to provide you with the charge attack damage increase, which is beautiful. This is exactly what we want. We want charge attack for everything because that's all we do on the Greatsword build. Next up, we have the Mortal Blow and your charge attack stamina recovery stamina recovery. Not even speed. It's just going to give you a flat 100% stamina recovery every time you do a Mortal Blow or a charge attack. This is also extremely huge because that's all we do on this build is, again, Mortal Blows and charge attacks. So that is going to refund us 100 stamina, and this is going to help us continue our combos for a longer period of time because mid-combo, we're regaining stamina. Beautiful to have early game. Now, end game, Once you reach max stamina, and stamina is not an issue anymore, that is not a benefit to us at all. It's a useless stat at that point. In Rage, this is a useless stat right here, unfortunately, but it's part of the armor set. When you're in Rage, again, that's when you're at 50% stamina, you will receive a damage decrease of 30%. Now, last, Mortal Blow, damage increase 20%, pretty huge. So when you're wearing the Crimson Fiend armor set, all you're going to do is charge light into Mortal Blow and just repeat that. What is that going to do? That's going to give you the Mortal Blow damage increase at 20%, and it's also going to give you that, again, Mortal Blow stamina recovery right there. So that is what you're going to be going for mid-game. And once you reach end of mid-game, beginning of late game, is where builds really start. Once you have access to around 32 jars, you could pick up the Strength Helm from the Jar Enthusiast shop, and this is what's going to open up your build. What this does is it decreases the set requirement for armor sets by 1. So now you can min-max armor sets and do some crazy damage. And once it's min-maxed, this is how it's going to look. You're going to have one piece of the Fallen Lords set, which is going to give you charge attack damage increase. You'll have one piece of the Crushed Dream set, which is going to give you confront damage. Confront damage is one-on-one damage, so if you're fighting a boss that's just by themselves, and you're going to get a 10% damage increase. Now, if you're fighting a gang fight and it's multiple enemies at once, then you can swap this out for something like the Chaos set, which is going to give you those heals. The one piece will give you the regeneration bonus. You're going to wear one piece of the Fugitive Mage Pants, Fugitive Mage set, which is going to give you the charge attack damage, and then you're going to be wearing the one piece of the Devourer's set, which is going to give you the confront damage increase. As far as the weapon is concerned, you can either be using the Sentinel's Greatsword or the Fugitive Mage, and whatever you're using here, you're going to swap out for another armor piece. As long as you have one piece of each of these, you'll be fine. On this one, we have the Sentinel's Greatsword, and that's going to give you that enraged damage increase, which is nice to have. And once this is New Game Plus. This is my ultimate New Game Plus build. I have a video for this. This is just you have to use the Sentinel Greatsword, and that's for the Murderous ability. But I digress. This is for New Game. Doesn't matter if you're using the Sentinel or the Fugitive Mage Sword, because there are no legendary special abilities on New Game, unfortunately. So this is just for the end game. But if you are curious, I will link my ultimate end game where I go ultimate end game build, where I go more in depth on this build. But for all intents and purposes, it doesn't matter whether you're utilizing the Fugitive Mage Sword or the Sentinel Greatsword. Just remember, whichever one you are using, you're gonna have to make up for that piece in the gear section. Now for the accessories, you will be using the Necklace of Faith, which is giving us the Pilgrim bonus, which is going to increase our potent blow damage. And you will be using the Cutthroat's Ring, which is going to give you the rear assault damage. Now, very important, guys, for the rear assault damage. Rear assault gives you a 1.5 times damage multiplier. So I will go more in depth in this later on in the video, but you're going to want to attack from the rear to get the that damage bonus, and a Cutthroat is going to further increase that. Now, if you do not have access to the special the special jar yet, then you will be using 2 pieces, obviously, of the Pilgrim, just so you can get the potent bonus right there of 10%. Now, when you go to Oksana, what are you looking for? What kind of attributes are you looking for your gear? Now, this is where it's very important for min-maxing damage. Since we are utilizing the Greatsword is all about charged attacks. So what you're going to be looking for, what you want to roll, are all charged attack bonuses. Get them as high as you can. Now, I know RNG is a pain in the damn ass, and I hate RNG in games. It just ruins things for me, and it's not fun. So do your best to roll the highest you can. Use those augments of wisdom if you have to. Don't waste them, because you want to min-max your gear at the end game. Hopefully they make it an easier way so you could farm for augments of wisdom to offset the price of re-rolling attributes. But you're going to be looking for all charge attack stuff. Save scum if you have to. If you guys have access to, if you're on PC, I don't know if console could do this, but on PC you could save scum. So you could revert your save back if you get like really bad rolls. Just reset reload your save and roll again and see if you can get something better. But yeah, so for the sword, it's going to be all damage. You can roll all damage stuff on your sword. On the helm, you could get one damage roll one stamina damage roll, and I recommend your final roll to be stamina recovery or maximum stamina, something like that. For your chest piece, the chest piece can roll no damage, unfortunately, so you're just gonna try to get as much stamina stuff as you possibly can. Defense is also a good one. If you're really struggling, you need the extra defense. So I didn't min-max this one too much. I just cared about the stamina, the max stamina and the stamina recovery. The gauntlet can roll all three damage bonuses. So what you're gonna do here is obviously you're going to roll charge attack as much as you can. And as you see in the middle, I have a damage increase. I could not roll the charge attack damage, so I settled for the damage increase. Now that's fine. If you guys are just having really bad RNG, then just roll flat regular damage is fine as well. That's going to be all beneficial. And if you're a god at the game, you're just a really good tryhard, then unscathed is good as well. That just means you're a no-hit master, so unscathed will be the highest multiplier you could get, so feel free to do that as well. On the pants, we have stamina again. The dodge stamina is not mandatory, so put whatever attribute you feel is best there. I just didn't bother wasting more resources on trying to roll something better, but stamina recovery and max stamina is what you're going to want there. And for the shoes, these again, you could get damage. You're going to want damage on this one, stamina damage and stamina recovery. For the accessories, we have unfortunately I have unscathed on this, so I gotta play like a god, but this could roll damage as well, so try your best to get that charge attack damage and some stamina, and the same thing with the ring. Unfortunately I had unscathed on this as well. I was going for no hits with this build, so try to roll the charge attack damage and the stamina, but that sums up the gear. Let's move on to the next topic. Moving on to the star of the show, which are the Greatsword skills. This is where the game just opens up, and this is how you're going to just decimate everybody. I'm going to go over what to prioritize in, and if you guys are curious on the progression on how to level up these things, I will link in the video description and at the end of the video my no-hit boss run on New Game with build progression, so you can see after each boss how I leveled up accordingly. But I'm going to let you know, guys, right now what to prioritize, and right off the bat, you're going to go right to the swift attack column right here. You're going to grab yourself Savage Momentum, Overwhelm, and Mortal Blow. Now, we only do charge attacks on Greatsword. That is it. You should never do a regular attack. So grab these, and this is going to be the bread and butter of your build. Swift attacks and Savage Momentums. You're going to grab in the beginning, early on, because it's one of the first skills you can acquire, and it's one of the best skills for the Greatsword kit, and that is the Furious Swipe. Now, what this does is that it increases your iframe. It gives you a dodge with an increased iframe while simultaneously attacking, as you see that little swift swipe that you do right there. But the real value comes from the ability to dodge mid-combat. If you're stuck in an animation, you could use the Furious Swipe to get out. If you have 0 stamina, you can use Furious Swipe to dodge, which is very important. But again, guys, it is a massive benefit that you get that extra iframe, because dodging in this game does not have much iframes as it does in other Souls-likes. So the Furious Swipe does give you a generous boost in that. And then you could further boost it with the Pursuit later on in the game, and you get combo. You can add, it enhances the dodge rate even further, but it also adds like an extra attack to it as well. Now, another skill you're going to prioritize early on, you're going to want to unlock this as soon as possible, and that is the Phantom Knight's Veil. This damn skill is what is going to allow you to get those endless combos, and what it does is after you do that plunge attack, as you see right there on the screen, it adds a pulse to your sword, and every time you do a charge attack, any kind of charge attack, so that means those charge swift attacks, the mortal blow, anything, this is going to add that pulse, and that pulse is going to hit your enemy multiple times, and that is going to stagger lock your boss, and that is going to allow you to just chain endlessly combos for some ginormous damage. The next skill you're going to prioritize is the Inner Fury skill. Inner Fury is the next best skill in the entire kit, and what this does, as you see right there, as it shoots out an AoE into the ground, this is going to hit your opponent multiple times, and this is going to allow you to do two things. Number one, if you're low on stamina, you could just stand there and regain it while the enemy is being stunned by the multiple hits. And number two, if you have stamina already, you can get behind your opponent and get that sweet, sweet rear assault damage, which is a 1.5 times damage modifier, and even more so when you're wearing the cutthroat ring, and that is going to allow us to do big time DPS to the bosses. Now, Inner Fury is also great for mobbing. If you're doing your missions and you're surrounded by a bunch of enemies, let go of Inner Fury, let them walk into it, and it'll take care of that. Now, another skill which I recommend you guys learn ASAP, that is the Counter Strike. No, those are the 4 main skills for the Greatsword that I recommend prioritizing. And Counter Strike is basically a Brink guard. It is the same time as a Brink guard, so no changes there. But what this does is that, number 1, it damages your opponent more than a Brink guard, and number 2, it does more stamina damage than a Brink guard. But the main benefit is this, especially when you unlock the shift ability that increases the Counter Strike. It allows you to animation cancel out of a combo out of these specific attacks right here, and you will be able to Brink guard while you're, as you see in the picture right there, as you're swinging your sword, he's able to Brink guard right out of it and save his ass. This is where the huge value lies with Counter Strike. Highly recommend that, guys. And you get 2 options to boost it up even further. I recommend using the chance, and this allows you to do multiple Counter Strikes in a row. So those enemies that have multiple hit combos, you'll be able to just Counter Strike back to back, which I prefer over the slam, which gives you like a kick thing that he does right there. So go with the Counter Strike chance. Just better in my opinion, more stamina damage, and yeah. Another important skill that I recommend you guys. Now, I know this one's a little bit more intimidating, but that is the reflection skill. Man, oh man, is this the absolute difference maker in this damn freaking game. This is what's going to trivialize bosses. Now, I know it's very intimidating, and it will be, kind of difficult of a learning curve in the beginning of the game, especially since you have less frames. But man, oh man, guys, please learn this. Now, the timing for this is basically you having to swat away your opponent's weapon. You have to time it earlier than a Brink guard, and it's just basically you swatting that weapon away. Now, you could get the swift ability early on in the game, and I recommend that, and that's going to shorten the activation time of the reflection. You get this pretty much the same time reflection is unlocked. So grab that right away. Now, you won't have the extra frames that you'll have access to later in the game. You'll have access to expert, and that's going to give you an extra frame, and then in New Game Plus and beyond, you'll have another frame, which is going to make reflection even easier. But learn it right in the beginning, guys. It is a game changer. Same thing with the counterattack abilities, guys. Learn those in the beginning of the game. Now, this is basically just a Brink guard as well. This has the same timing. As you're going to time it right before the enemy is about to hit you. You will activate your counterattack, and it will give you the same damage window as a reflection. Once the enemy is reflected or counterattacked, then you open up. They're staggered quite a bit, and they will be opened up to a huge damage window. So please, guys, learn that. Now, on to other skills that are pretty beneficial but not mandatory. I recommend grabbing the Overrun. This is another bread and butter attack that you will be doing just as you're going about your business throughout the world, and stringing combos along and closing the gap as well. So Overrun is basically just a dash attack. You're just dashing once. You gotta press R1, and it comes out very quick. Again, remember we said we're never doing a single regular attack. This is not a regular attack, and it's actually faster than your regular R1. So instead of doing a regular R1, just dash into your enemy and hit your combat cadence, and then you could combo that into your swift attack, into your savage momentum, into your mortal blow, so on and so forth. Helm Break is another gap closer that is free of charge. Doesn't require any spirit, so if you're far away from an opponent, you can run, hold down your attack button. You'll do like that flip attack and go right into the Helm Break, where you can continue your combo after that. You could charge that into a potent blow or into your swift attack, things of that nature. Now, quality of life stuff that's really good to have is anything that's going to accumulate spirit. I prefer grabbing the stuff that's going to accumulate spirit rather than stuff that's going to, like the stuff that do damage with the Brink guard. I'd rather do the one that gives you more spirit for Brink guarding. Same thing with dodging. We don't dodge much on this build, so that one is low priority. But anything that's going to give you spirit is actually very beneficial, so we could keep using our skills throughout the fight. Now, some other skills that I recommend that are not mandatory is Titanic Descent. You could get this later on in the game, but this skill is great for closing the gap, and I prefer to close the gap with this rather than the dash attack or a helm break. Now, because this does quite a bit of damage, especially if you're hitting them from the rear, and I'll go over to combos in a second. I incorporate this in my main combo. But what it does is also comes out pretty much instantaneously, so I prefer this. I do not use breakthrough. As you see here, I have no points into breakthrough. Breakthrough is just so slow to me, and enemies could move out of the way of it. Titanic Descent is instant. I typically hit a weak spot, which is normally the enemy's head, for bigger damage. And yeah, it's a great skill to have, and you can further increase the damage with it later on. Now, an optional skill, I don't normally use it. And if I do use it, it's only usually on really, really big enemies like the Yetis or Shaktuka or something like that. And that is Giant Hunt. And basically you just climb up on your opponent and you do like a leaping lunge onto their weak spot. The bigger they are, the more damage they'll take. So this is not a mandatory skill. It's just something, if you have extra points to throw something in, throw it into Giant Hunt. If you have something unlocked from an armor set bonus, then use that over Giant Hunt, obviously. But the main skills you want to use, just to recap everything here, the main skills you want, obviously, after you prioritize your Savage Momentum, your Mortal Blow, and your Overwhelm, you're going to want Phantom Knight's Veil, you're going to want Furious Swipe, you're going to want Counter Strike, and you're going to want Inner Fury. Once you have those skills, everything is fine. Put the points into the quality of life stuff that you need. As far as the common tree is concerned, the resources, whatever you need here, not very important as the stuff I mentioned earlier. Reflection is very important. As long as you have Reflection and you have the Swift unlocked early on, you'll be fine. And the counterattack stuff is not overly important as well. Phantom Form, I do not touch. Phantom Form is utterly useless to me in this game. I just have points. I don't even. I have maximum points. I have 39 points, and I don't even have points. I don't use Phantom Form. The only thing I recommend with Phantom Form is using it when you have a status effect. As soon as you enter Phantom Form, it clears your status effect. So that's basically what I use it for. But if you really want to use it and you're struggling with the game, by all means do so. And if you can use Death's Denial, so it gives you an extra life. If you're about to die, you'll enter Phantom Form, and that can save your butt a few times. But I really dislike Phantom Form. I feel like the damage is very low on it, and it just throws off my rhythm. So I don't recommend it. As far as the Javelin concerned, you don't even have to level this up until like maybe the end game. You have extra points. Yeah, I don't really use Javelins very much unless it's just to kill like archers from far away. So this basically here is just more quality of life, not necessary. Same thing with the brutal attacks. You can put points into this stuff later on at the end of the game when you just need stuff to put points in. But that's it. As long as you have those main things I went over, the Furious Swipe, Inner Fury, Phantom Knight's Veil, Counter Strike, and obviously your Swift attacks here, your Savage Momentum, your Mortal Blow, and your Overwhelm, you're gonna be fine. Let's just move on, and I'm gonna show you guys how to combo and how to play the Greatsword. So we have our skills unlocked, we have the gear, we have the stats. How the hell do I use this damn hunk of metal, right? How do we do it? Well, here we go. I'm gonna show you how to do it. A couple of things, guys. Remember, I told you. We do not use these regular R1s. No. Too slow, no bueno, low damage. Everything is charge attack. The only time we're not charging attack is when we're closing the gap. And that's what we're going to start with, guys. We're going to start with our dashing R1. And that's going to look something like this. Look how much faster that comes out. This is going to be your regular R1. You're never going to do a regular R1 like this. Never. This is what you're going to do. And you can follow that up. Right there. Right out, usually after I follow that up, actually let's put some spirit on this. We have infinite spirit here. Here we go. I bought spirit. So I usually follow that up now with the charge Swift. That's our charge Quarter Blow, or I could just go. It's a Mortal Blow, which is even better. I have Murderous, so my attacks come up very fast. And that's basically your basic combo, and that's what you're going to be using when you're mobbing. Just going to walk around, kill your trash mobs. And that's your basic first combo that I typically use. Any regular trash mobs that I run into, I'll just usually dash, do this, and keep it moving. Now, if the enemy's a little bit further away, you can just run, hit them with a Helm Break, hit the dash, and you can do the same thing. So run, Helm Break, go right back into the Savage Momentum, into your Mortal Blow, so on and so forth. That is your first combo. That's just for regular combos. That's for non-spirit consuming combos. Let's get into your main damage combos. How are we going to take down these bosses extremely fast? How are we going to do some big time damage to them? Well, first things first is hopefully you learned reflection or counter strike, because most bosses could be reflected right in the beginning of the fight. But if you didn't, that's fine. We have Phantom Knight's Veil. You're going to land your Phantom Knight's Veil. If you didn't pre-buff already with Phantom Knight's Veil, which is another tech that I'll get into, you can pre-buff with it. Now we have Phantom Knight's Veil active. Now all of our attacks are going to pulse, as you see right there. We're pulsing. We're pulsing. You see the extra damage we're getting from the pulses. Now that's going to help us stun lock the bosses. Now that we have Phantom Knight's Veil active, now we're going to look for damage windows to get on our bosses. So either after they're depleted with their stamina bar, after a reflection, after a counter attack, after they do a long combo and they're staggered, then you hit an Inner Fury, get behind them, mortal blow, it's a potent blow. That is the combo. Then usually after you land a potent blow, they're going to be knocked away far away from you. Once they're knocked away far away from you, you will use Titanic Descent. That closes the gap, does big time damage, and then you go right back into your Savage Momentum. It's a mortal blow, it's a potent blow, you rinse and repeat. Now, early game, I recommend you going in for a brutal attack. That's because we do not have the stamina. We do not have stamina early game, so you go right into a brutal attack right after that. But if you're end game, you have your min-max build, you have your charge attack damage, don't even go in for a brutal attack. That's actually going to do less damage than our charge attacks. So just keep following up with the same combo I go into. You're gonna go, let's repeat, Phantom Knight's Veil. It's an Inner Fury. Get behind. Savage Momentum. Mortal Blow. Potent Blow. Titanic Descent. Rinse and repeat. Savage Momentum. Mortal Blow. Potent Blow. Titanic Descent. You're going to keep doing that. Keep an eye on your stamina meter. If it is quite low, especially if you're early game, then you might have to back off a little bit. Back off, regroup, get your stamina back, find your openings. When the enemy is attacking you, obviously utilize the other skills that you have. You have your counter strike, which is that. That is basically, again, remember the same timing as a Brink guard. And you also have your Furious Swipe, which is this. Now you can Furious Swipe in either direction. Just go backwards. Some enemies will flip towards you, and you want to land it backwards. You go forwards. Wherever direction you need to go, time it. That's very important because you will be able to string combos, and after that, especially if you have Phantom Knight's Veil active, and you could you go into a combo right after that, and you keep doing that. Let's recap the combos. Regular dash when you're mobbing, or if you need to close the gap. Even if, let's say, you have no spirit, your enemy is exhausted, go right into it. Bread and butter. That's what I call that the bread and butter combo, just because it's what you're going to be using mostly when you're mobbing. And then your Giga combo, Phantom Knight's Veil, Inner Fury, get behind him, Savage Momentum, Mortal Blow, Potent Blow, Titanic Descent. Rinse and repeat. The enemy will be deleted, big time damage. And that's basically how you play the Greatsword, guys. It's not really complicated. A lot of people are intimidated because they think it's slow, but it's really not. It's just all about how you utilize your skills. We're going to get more so into the tech right now, so I can show you how to even maximize your combos even further. And I'm also going to give you the examples on how to use Counter-Strike, Brink Guard, and Reflection right now. Alright, so as you saw in the examples there, Brink Guard, Counter-Strike, and Reflection, the differences. So Brink Guard and Counter-Strike both have the same exact timing. As you saw, Counter-Strike does do more stagger damage and more damage than the Brink Guard, so very beneficial there. And then Reflection comes out right basically to swat away your opponent's weapon. You have to do a little earlier than the Brink Guard, and that will give you that huge damage window like I said before. So please, guys, try to master all three. All three are beneficial to your kit, and it will all be extremely helpful in just making this game so much easier, especially reflection. Once you master the reflection, this game just becomes like super easy. So practice with the timings. Don't be afraid to go into the training grounds and fight the different enemies just to get different timings down. And I only recommend using reflection on very slow telegraphed attacks. Do not try to reflect every attack. Usually at the end of a combo string, an enemy will have a long windup for their final hit, or an opening attack where the first opening attack is pretty predictable. You know they're going to do it all of the time. Some bosses open with the same attack all the time, and that's when you can land a reflection and get a nice damage window right in the beginning of the fight. Alright, let's go over which phantoms are going to be the most beneficial to our Greatsword build here. And first things first, we have Kesha the Unyielding. This is the very first phantom you unlock, and it's actually one of the best ones you will have for the Greatsword. Greatsword is very stamina hungry, and early game, especially when you have very low stamina, Kesha is going to be your savior right here for your stamina recovery. And then when you awaken him, he increases stamina recovery even more so, and restores stamina when the enemy is exhausted, so very helpful. Adelheid the Philanthropic is one that I enjoyed using for mobbing just during missions, just so I could get extra heals while I'm going through the missions to make sure I survive the mission and not have to replay anything like that. Adelheid was really good. You don't need a lot of damage or stamina for missions. You could just, if you're playing cautiously and you're going about and using your assassin's elixirs and stuff like that, and just treading carefully, you should be fine. But if you get a couple of hits, on you, you need the extra heals, and Adelheid is going to be very helpful for that. Conrad the Swift is great for pre-buffing right before the fight. You could go right to an enemy, get a few dodges in, get the damage increase, and go right into it. You're not dodging much for Greatsword, so this is only going to be beneficial for people who are going for speed kills or try-harding. Then Conrad the Swift is going to be useful in that regard. But for regular play, Conrad the Swift is not useful. Veronica the Wolfric the Resilience. This is the other one that's going to be pretty beneficial as you want. We try our best to get as much rear assault damage as we possibly can, but that's not really feasible. So every little bit of damage counts. So you will get a nice whopping 15% damage increase from the front, and you get like some nice fury. That is the main benefit of Wolfric, is getting the fury, or AKA spirit, from perfect counters and from brutal attacks and things like that. So those are the phantoms that I recommend using. You can also use Maximilian the Impenetrable, so for stamina from Brink Guard. We do use Brink Guards quite a bit, but I honestly use the others over Maximilian during my playthrough, but feel free to use Maximilian as well. But the ones I really do recommend are Keshta. Keshta is probably the best one, just for that stamina for the Greatsword. For mobbing, Adelheid, and then if you want some extra damage, Wolfric is going to be your man. And if you want some try-hard, quick speed kills, then Conrad is going to be your guy right there. Alright, so let's go over a few tips and strategies that are going to help maximize your Greatsword play. First things first is, before a boss fight, you're going to want to, if you have the spirits to spare, or if you have a few spare ores lying around that you could regain some, you're going to activate Phantom Knight's Veil preemptively. This is going to give you that pulsing ability that it does right in the beginning of the fight, so you get a nice advantage. So if you reflect the first attack that your opponent does, or you just dodge their first combo string and you get act in and get some damage in, you'll have it active already. So once you have that active and you activate Interfury, you're going to pulse. But not only will you pulse, you're going to get the extra hits from Interfury, and this will allow you to get a huge damage window, get behind them, and do what you got to do. So the pre-buff of the Phantom Knight's Veil is actually really nice. You also utilize your Codex. You can see the enemy's strengths and weaknesses in the bottom right. Use that to the best of your abilities. Like, for example, the Crypt Devourer right here has weak to fire, so you would want to use fire against them. You're fighting your boy Viper, who's weak to water. Just use it and get that. Every little bit counts, guys. Take advantage of the elemental weaknesses. Carry your the bombs into the fights as well. Sometimes you can get some cheeky damage in the fire essences, the water essences, all that stuff. Bring those into the fights as well. Don't be afraid to utilize everything that you have at your disposal. And a tip for mobbing, it's not really explained very well in the item. You see this item description. You see this elite over here walking back and forth. You want to sneak up on him, and you're like, damn, my footsteps are too loud. I can't catch up to him. Well, that's when you're going to use the Assassin's Elixir, which says it exposes the enemy's back, making them temporarily vulnerable. But it doesn't. What it does is it makes your footsteps silent, so it allows you to run up on an enemy like I'm about to do right here, and get that brutal attack in, just like this.
And you can just go to town, clap his cheeks, easy peasy. And you can just do that throughout your missions. It makes going through missions so much easier, where you can sneak up on enemies and get the jump on those tough elites. And another tip I could give you guys is pre-buffing with the Soul Cleaving Greatsword. Now, this is something that you all have access to at the end of New Game. At the end of New Game, the last level, you will have access to the Soul Cleaving Greatsword, the legendary version, and that's going to give you the skill enemy defeated damage increase. So if you want, you could use that to pre-buff, kill some mobs before the boss, gain some stacks. It'll give you the stacks up to 10 at 3%, so you get 30% damage increase, and you can walk into a damn boss fight with 30% damage increase. That's really nice to have. And another one is using the pre-buff for Conrad the Swift, as I have equipped right there. Now what Conrad the Swift does, as we went over during our Phantom, when we were going over the Phantom. So if you go over to Conrad the Swift, which is right here, what he does is that he increases your damage by 10% for 15 seconds upon performing a Brink dodge, and increases damage by 5% by performing a Brink dodge for a maximum of 5 stacks. So you could pre-buff with Conrad. You could just go find an enemy right before the boss fight, dodge them 5 times, get a huge 25% damage bonus, and walk right into the boss fight and get a massive damage increase of 30% from the Soul Cleaving Greatsword, 25% from Conrad for a whopping 55% damage increase, and damn, you are going to do some monster damage, man. I hope those tips helped you right there.
Well, that's all there is to it, to the Greatsword. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative and helpful. Again, guys, I will link the no-hit runs on every single boss in the game using the Greatsword on New Game in the description. It will be in the comment section. It will be at the end of this video, along with my endgame S-tier max DPS build. Just in case you want to see something more in-depth for endgame, this I know was more for New Game. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider sharing it. Please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Drop a comment, guys. Let me hear your thoughts below. Really hope I open some eyes and allow you guys to actually try out the Greatsword. It is my favorite weapon. It's the only weapon I enjoy using in this game. And I really hope I helped you guys out in playing with it as well. Catch you guys on the next one.